Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 2 is over, but we are just getting started here on The Walking Dead live on post-show recaps. And now, here are the two guys who maybe are going to start smoking now because hope is lost. I'm Rob Cesternino. Here's Josh Wigler. Josh, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine. That's okay. Can we not smoke in the podcast? Because that's very rude. That's really bad behavior.
Okay, fine.
No
So
smoking
just
in the podcast.
lock yourself into your panic room. Get ready to go. And we have our answer to Airhorn Gate from last week, Josh. We know what is going on, and it is a tractor trailer that was crashed into a church. What was that?
Is that tractor trailer gate because it crashed into the gate of Alexandria?
I don't know what's going on, but the wolves are here, and they mean business. And
it's a full freaking moon, man.
Yeah, and it was a very, very rough night for the red shirts of Alexandria tonight.
Truly red shirts tonight. The red shirts their shirts are running red with blood.
Literally and figuratively.
It was not good for the no-name Alexandrians tonight, or even like the really minor Alexandrian characters. They pretty much all bit it. It was bad. Bad night for those people for sure. Great night for some of our main characters, though.
Yeah, very bad night for anybody, all those nondescript people who don't have names, that they all had a rough night. But anyway, we have a lot to talk about here tonight on The Walking Dead Live here on Post-Show Recaps because we have our chat room open. We are going to be taking your tweets later on in the show, hashtag PS Recaps, and then also on our YouTube channel at postshowrecaps.com/YouTube. Josh is joining us here live after the episode for the first time this season.
Yes.
How does it feel to be back, baby?
It's nice. I love it. I'm loving being back, reacting to the episode live after it's happened. And this has been a crazy action-packed season, 2 episodes in. You know, both the premiere had a ton going on with the main storyline, the present timeline storyline, with trying to get all of these walkers to follow Daryl Dixon on his little Pied Piper motorcycle. That was really fun and really exciting. And somehow this episode blew that out of the water in terms of action-packed moments. This is one of the most action-packed episodes of the show that I can remember. Once again, put Carol in a situation of adversity with her basically being the only soldier against an army of antagonists, and she's going to come out on top. So it's a great night for Carol. It's a great night for The Walking Dead. I thought it was awesome. Very happy to be here talking about it.
So it's a night also where we saw a battle between Carol and Morgan, not so much up against each other, but seemingly a battle of ideals where Morgan seems to think that you can function in this universe without having to kill people, where Carol says, of course not, that is absolutely not true. You have to kill people to move on. And we saw that Morgan is trying to even let these wolves go and try to just leave, just get out of here, just don't come back. And he feels like that will work where Carol is just killing these people. Did you feel like by the end of the episode that Morgan has come around on that way of thinking?
I don't think so. I mean, you get that moment with Morgan fighting the wolf in the house, and it's the same guy who pulled the gun up on Morgan in the finale, in the season 5 finale. It's that same character, so these two have some history. And I didn't get the sense that he killed this guy. It looked like he just knocked him out, right?
Oh, I thought that was like a
that was a death
blow to the head.
It was like kind of like a swipe, though. It was like sort of, I felt like the way that they shot it looked like a swipe upside the head.
Like a Tinder swipe?
I think it was a swipe left. I don't think that I don't think he swiped right to kill. I think he passed. I think it was a little bit of a miss. I don't know. I'd love to hear what other people thought about that scene, but I interpreted it as him knocking him out. Though I guess he does say something like, "I'm sorry." And if he's just knocking you out, Morgan doesn't seem to be too apologetic about knocking you unconscious. He seems to be really sorry about taking lives. He doesn't want to have to do that. But I feel like if Morgan's philosophy is going to be a competing philosophy with the Ricks and Carols of the world for at least this half season, or at least for the next little while, then to have Morgan kill this guy at the end of the episode would really undercut that argument for me. So I don't know. I'm inclined to think that he kept the guy alive. I think that that's dramatically interesting that we might have one of these wolves in captivity.
Just going back to the end of the last episode where we saw the air horn going off and we didn't know what happened, and that was making the walkers go back towards Alexandria. Seemingly from what we saw here tonight, the air horn was going on for, maybe 2 minutes before they ultimately turned it off. Do you feel like, is the walker horde still headed towards Alexandria, or are we going to pick things back up next week with Rick, and it's like, oh, okay, good, the air horn got turned off, and then they're just going to be able to continue with their plan as planned?
Yeah, I mean, I totally thought that this episode was going to be. I thought that the Horde was going to hit Alexandria in this episode. I thought that's where we were going. Obviously, it was a more contained episode than that. It was more about the people who were causing the horn to sound in the first place. We ignored the Horde completely, the herd of walkers coming their way. I think that that's still on the way. I don't know, the people that have come off the road, the walkers that have come off the road, I don't know how you get them back on the road following Daryl. So I feel like at least some of those stragglers are still on their way to Alexandria. So this crap show that's going on over at Alexandria is probably far from over at this rate. And I think that Walking Dead with these first two episodes has really shown that season 6 might be one of those seasons where the pace is not going to be let up. And we certainly have a really breakneck pace going on in 2 episodes. That was kind of the way of it in season 5 as well, when season 5 kicked off, and it started to slow down a little bit with the hospital episode, which I think was around 4 or 5. So I think that we still have another action-packed episode would be my gut instinct for next week. I think it's going to involve Rick trying to head off these walkers before they can get to Alexandria. I don't know how he's going to succeed in that. I feel like Alexandria is still in for some rough times.
Now, when Aaron found the backpack at the end of the episode, and that was the backpack that we saw that the wolves had picked up from him,
right.
So that was the show saying that this is really Aaron's fault. How do you think Aaron ultimately is going to handle that baggage of, it was his baggage,
right?
Misplaced.
He is baggage?
Yes, he is baggage now. Yeah. How do you think he's going to deal with that?
I don't think he's going to be happy about it. I don't think that it's the show saying this was Aaron's fault. I think that this was consequence of what happened to Aaron. Aaron left the bag. He was about to get killed. I think you can forgive the guy for leaving the bag behind. It just sucks that he left the bag behind because these murderous wolves got all the information on Alexandria, and they were able to pull off a pretty, brave. Well, not brave. Brave is the wrong word. These guys are cowardly monsters. But it was a ballsy assault that they pulled off on Alexandria, and all of that comes down to the fact that Aaron left key intel behind in the car. That sucks. I don't think it's his fault. I'm sure he's going to think it's his fault, and I'm sure he's not going to be very happy about it. And I don't know how he'll be penalized if the information comes out or what. But I think that Aaron is going to feel like he really screwed up here. He's very protective of Alexandria in the first place. Can't imagine he's too thrilled about what happened here tonight.
Do you think that this episode tonight will have an impact on that debate that Rick was having with Daryl last week about going out and recruiting more people and leaving Alexandria?
Well, they need a recruitment drive. They're down in numbers now. Was it good? Did they thin the herd? Was this like a natural selection type thing? Is this more of the Rick Grimes Darwinism going on?
I mean, I always like it when they thin the herd.
Yeah, I know you do.
But I felt like we also saw that a little bit tonight in terms of letting these people, whether it is more merciful to kill these people now or now or later, because. Right. In Morgan is also seeing that, where it's like, if you sort of like don't just take care of it now, it's going to ultimately come back to haunt you.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think that when Rick comes back, first off, let's just hope that there's a functioning Alexandria to come back to. I think that that's in question right now. Their security has been breached. Several people have been killed. We saw at least one wolf was still hiding within Alexandria when they thought that they had cleared out all of the wolves. Who knows how many others could still have infiltrated. We saw Carol. I can't wait to talk about Carol, but we saw Carol go incognito. We saw Carol dress up like a wolf. Who knows if one of these people can blend into Alexandria. So there's that. There's the fact that there are dead bodies littered within the compound that could reanimate at any second if they don't get to them all. So there's trouble within. We know that the herd of walkers is headed towards Alexandria right now. So let's hope that Rick has a place that he can come back to and decide whether or not we're going to let more people in. But I do think if he was reluctant to send Daryl out to recruit more people, I would get, the sense that I would get is that this would only make him more reluctant. I think that this would make him very hesitant to trust anybody.
Just going back to this idea with Morgan and this Darwinism that we were talking about last week, Morgan had this line where he said, if you keep choosing this life, you'll die. So if you keep making this decision, then you will eventually lead you to a path of death. And the wolf responded, well, we didn't choose this.
Right. So, it's like this life chose me.
Yeah. So does that speak to the fact that there is some sort of governor head of the wolves?
Yeah, that there's like you would think that there's some alpha wolf, right? I mean, when you think of packs of wolves, you got to think about the alpha. So who's the alpha? I think that this show hasn't had a big bad like that in a while since the governor. We had Gareth from Terminus, but he was very short-lived. I would expect that at some point in the future we will have one, monstrous face of evil that we're going to want to punch in repeatedly. I'm sure that that's something that's going to happen again on The Walking Dead, and you can easily see how there is a head honcho with the wolves, especially with that line that you point out, like, we didn't choose this. Maybe it was chosen for them, whether that's circumstances chose this for them, that this is the way of the world and this is the only way to survive, and that's the way that they view the world right now, these wolves, or there's a big bad wolf who says, do what I say, go attack this group of people, or you're screwed. So I think it could break either way. Personally, I would love to see the big bad wolf. I think that could be a really cool character. Is that what you think that we're headed toward? Do you think that there's one main guy that's running this operation?
Yeah, I do feel like that. I feel like we're sort of like on Lost. There are others. We are pre-Ben Linus.
Right,
But
pre-Ben Linus, yeah.
so the wolves don't have guns. Is that because they just can't find them? It feels like that they're very resourceful. It seems like they've got a lot of, they're setting up these booby traps and have access to a lot of things. Are they anti-gun?
I don't think that they're anti-gun because we saw some of them make a break for the armory. We saw one of them, the one that Morgan was saying that line to, of like, if you keep choosing this life, you're going to die. That guy pocketed a handgun. So I don't think that they're anti-guns unless that guy was being a renegade. I get the sense that they're into guns. Maybe they just don't have their hands on guns, or maybe they're just better equipped to beat these crazy maniacs who just run at you full sprint with machetes in their hands and just like completely savagely, brutally murder people. Maybe that's just how they like to do it. It's entirely possible that that's how they get their jollies. So I'm not sure. I don't know what their stance is on the whole gun thing. I don't think that it's a refusal to use them. I think maybe they prefer to attack the way that they attack, or they just don't have their hands on a lot of ammo the way that Alexandria does.
They did seem to take a lot of pleasure in like the mutilation, in addition to not just killing people. It was not like a surgical strike. It was just like a raid, and it was just killing people and like stabbing over and over and over.
Yeah, it was hardcore. It was hardcore. It felt like old school. It felt really barbaric. It was intense, and it was interesting to see this side of it. I mean, it was disgusting. It was intense. It was pulse pounding, but it was really fascinating to see this side of a wolf attack because we've seen the aftermath before at Noah's hometown in the second half of season 5. We saw people who had the W's carved into their head, their limbs removed, everything like that, and we watched the wolves actually executing those moves tonight. So it was really interesting to see how they work. Very gruesome stuff. And I did get the sense that some of these people are taking immense pleasure. And I also got the sense that many of these people are just lunatics, out of their mind, the way that they just really aggressively pursued Carol down into the armory, for example. It was almost kind of like a Mad Max type of vibe, like the characters from Fury Road. So these people are serious psychopaths, and it's a scary thing. And I didn't think that we would get to the wolves this fast. We've been talking about that. Doesn't the wolves feel like a mid-season thing? Are you surprised that the wolves were the ones that were pulling this attack off and that we've gotten to them in episode 2 already?
No, I'm not surprised because I felt like that the wolves were responsible. I didn't see a scenario that made sense with anybody from Alexandria sounding the horn, so I felt like I thought the wolves were involved. So I feel like this is going back to last season where we were surprised that the Terminus thing exploded so quickly. We thought that was so they've gotten into these seasons with like a big jolt these last couple of years.
Is that good? Do you like that? I mean,
Sure.
That's something, we thought in the off seasons between 4 and 5, like, are we going to be stuck in the train car this entire time? And no, we weren't. We got out of the train car in that first episode, and we got totally rid of Terminus in 3 episodes. Do you expect that the wolves will wrap up next week, or is that something that's going to play out for a while?
I don't think that this is going to wrap up for a while. I think that what we were going to probably wrap up is what's going on with this whole Walker horde that's approaching everybody. I think that that's what we're going to go to, but I think that we will continue on this storyline all season long.
Yeah, but you like the pace. This is a good pace for you. You think that The Walking Dead, when they are really just balls to the wall, as someone might say, you think that is the right pace for this show?
Yeah, I don't think that. Look, it's great when they sort of slow it down and they give you those scenes with like 1 or 2 people, and you can have an episode or 2 like that. But overall, for this show to keep momentum, I think they need to continue at this sort of pace. I mean, that's what The Walking Dead is, and so I think then the change up where the slow pace when they give you that, it's even more impactful. But I think that this is got to be their bread and butter.
It's really a very stark contrast between Walking Dead proper and Fear the Walking Dead. You know, the 6 episodes of Fear the Walking Dead we got, which were kind of slow, versus this episode, the premiere, which is just insanely action-packed. So it's really amazing. And also an interesting contrast between someone like Morgan and someone like Travis on Fear the Walking Dead. A guy like Travis who was going throughout Fear the Walking Dead saying we don't have to kill these people, we don't know if this is irreversible, all of this stuff. And Morgan, years into the apocalypse, kind of adopting that attitude. And I love Morgan, and Morgan was a serious badass tonight. Morgan's probably gotta go back to his old kill stance, or at least get closer to that, don't you think? I respect what you're doing, Morgan, but you're gonna get yourself killed if you're not willing to get your hands a little dirtier.
Well, I think that Morgan has probably dealt with a lot more like sort of like normal insane people from The Walking Dead, sort of like the normal sort of insane person who's like coming up trying to like rob him. He's sort of just like smacking them around saying like, hey, you don't want any of this. And like, all right, fine. And then they just run away. But he has probably never dealt with anything like the wolves.
Right, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, well, he dealt with them in the woods very briefly, but I don't think he knew the full extent of what these people were capable of.
He didn't get it. He didn't get what they were all about.
So I think something like this will challenge those notions for sure. You know, whatever hard-earned peace has come Morgan's way since we've seen him in Clear, between that and, you know, the Morgan that we're getting now, I think that those notions are going to be challenged by the circumstances that we see him in now. But man, he's got to come out on a different side of this thing, because that whole no-kill policy with these people, they're not going to hold back. I don't know that you ought to hold back with these wolves.
All right, you said you wanted to talk about Carol. Let's discuss her night, where it starts off where she is back with her buddies. She's talking about recipes.
Yeah, paprika celery soup. That sounds tasty.
Well, I thought that there was something to what she was talking about, how she's talking about making a recipe with the ingredients that nobody wants to use.
Right,
is the kitchen sort of, yeah. Is that sort of a metaphor for what is going on with this ragtag group here at Alexandria?
Yeah, these are the people no one wants to use. Who don't we want to use? I want to use most of these people.
Denise.
We don't want to use Denise? Custodian Denise?
Therapist or psychologist Denise.
Right, but she's no doctor, you know.
Surgeon Denise.
Yeah, Surgeon Denise. Yeah, I guess. You know, there are definitely some scrappers here in Alexandria. It's definitely a scrappy group of people. I like that. I think that's fun. But I think that that's an interesting point. And, you know, it runs parallel with what Rick was saying last week about certain people are built to survive this world. Some people just are not. And we saw some of these people in Alexandria. Many of these people did not make it, but then someone like Denise was all right. Olivia was still alive last week. Hopefully someone's going to knock on that door and not just get their face blown off when they go to the armory and Olivia's got the gun. So we've seen some of these scrappy people hold their own here in Alexandria, but I do think that it was a shot that Carol was taking, you know, and no one expects that. I mean, people will expect it now that Carol has kind of been outed as this badass, but at the time, no one would have thought that, oh, Carol's making fun of me. Carol's great. Oh, God, she was so good tonight.
What'd you think of Carol's move to dress up as one of the wolves, basically pulling off the Han Solo and Luke Skywalker move, and then bringing Morgan around like the captured Chewbacca throughout the Death Star?
That was pretty good. I was going to say that she was like pulling a Princess Zelda turning into Sheik in Ocarina of Time, but I think yours is better. I liked her in sort of quote-unquote stormtrooper dragging around the Chewie throughout Alexandria. It was fun. If only he was a little bit more cooperative, but I guess Chewbacca wasn't so cooperative either. I loved the move. I thought the move was great. Incognito Carol is a great Carol, and we've seen several different Incognito Carols. We've seen her in Terminus. We've seen her as, you know, one of these people who's just like a housewife in Alexandria, and now we saw her in disguise as one of the wolves. It was so badass. It was awesome. And I know that there's still some people out there who think that Carol is overrated. I really don't know how you can think she's overrated after a night like tonight.
Who's saying that?
There are some people
I'll fight them.
I think that like the tide that turned. The tide that turned for Carol were people like you, Rob. You were so down on Carol when we were starting podcasting about The Walking Dead, and you have since said that Carol is the best character on The Walking Dead. You have said that she is your favorite character on the show. That's a huge reversal, and I think that sort of turnabout on Carol has rubbed certain people the wrong way, and they just are going in the other direction. Say, Carol's overrated, she's the worst, she sucks. I don't get it. She's the best. She proved it tonight. She was such a badass. who needs Rick Grimes and Daryl Dixon in town when you've got Carol? So I don't know. Team Carol all the way. She was awesome tonight. It was great.
I mean, doesn't it prove that I'm very fair?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does. It does prove that.
The Carol thing is going to be very fun to watch in terms of the Morgan episode or the Morgan drama.
Right.
I want to talk about Enid because I thought that she had a very odd episode to me, and the fact that they sort of bookended the episode with her in the beginning and the end, yet she didn't figure into the story very much at all. And
Right.
I wonder if there is more than it seems, or this was just sort of like they had to shoehorn some sort of Enid backstory in there. I mean, the episode was named JSS, and I really thought that there was going to be some sort of important significance. And just survive somehow, I felt a little disappointed in that there was no major significance to finding out what that meant.
Well, it's like the anybody but me of The Walking Dead. It's like I will do whatever I have to do to survive. And we
Eat
saw
a raw turtle?
Yeah.
Turtle sushi?
Turtle sushi. You know, we got some turtle sushi on the menu tonight. It was really gross. It didn't look very pleasant, but she seemed all right with it. Food's food. So we saw her on the road. We saw her watch her companions, whether they were family or somebody else. We watched her watch them get eaten alive. She went through some shit. She went through a really tough time. And how it relates to what's been going on in Alexandria, I don't know. I know a lot of people have been suspicious of Enid. We've been suspicious of Enid on the podcast before, and I think that we kind of go through moments of she's not on the level or she is on the level. She's just a messed up kid. I think that the jury is still out. I'd like to think that we would have seen something a little more conclusive if she was in cahoots with the Wolves, #cahoots. I don't think that we really got that. So I'm not inclined to think that she was really involved in the assault, but I feel like this is going to fuel some people's fire that something really eerie is up with Enid. I think that she's just a messed up kid who's doing whatever she can to survive.
Don't you think she acted odd, though, in the sequence with Carl when she came in the house?
Right, well, she was saying goodbye. It was like it was going to be the last time that she ever saw him. But she was startlingly calm, considering this entire compound of Alexandria was getting annihilated all around them. And maybe that is like the eerie calm of someone who knows a way out of the situation, and maybe that person knows a way out of the situation through the people who are attacking.
But I found her dialogue was peculiar, that she had said to Carl about what was going on. She used the phrase, well, they're just people.
Right.
I thought that was odd, and I don't know what that exactly meant. And then, he's like saying to her, like, hey, don't tell me goodbye. Whatever you do, don't tell me goodbye. And she's sort of like, okay,
yeah,
I won't say goodbye. But I didn't get the sense that she was necessarily there, ready to say goodbye.
You thought, what did you think that she was there to say?
I don't know what she was there to say. Again, this is like midway through the episode. I'm like, does she have something to do with this? Are these for people?
Right. Yeah, I think that's the question. I think that there are people who are wondering that same thing. I don't think that the show gave us a lot of conclusive information in that direction. I think that if that had been the case, if Enid is somehow in league with the Wolves, I'd like to think we would have gotten something a little more concrete.
Especially since we got her backstory and there was no mention of it.
Exactly. So there would have had to have been like something that happened between her eating the turtle and rolling up on Alexandria that we wouldn't have seen. So you would think that we would have gotten some sort of clip from that.
Don't you think also that considering that her motto is JSS, just survive somehow, did you find her to be in a just survive somehow mode during that attack?
Yeah, I think that she snuck into Carl's house. She was going to say goodbye, and then I think that she was going to get the heck out of town.
No, say goodbye, then survive somehow. Like, just survive somehow is run, is hide, is do whatever it takes to not die, not to go say goodbye to your new boyfriend.
Right. Well, maybe it's a sign that she's not, she's not the strong JSS survivor that we saw her be on the road in the beginning of the episode. That maybe Alexandria has softened her. Yeah, the JSS. She has, she's softened a little bit. We saw her hugging Ron when he was obviously very upset about what was going on in his family life. The fact that his dad got shot in the face in the middle of town. She gave him a hug, and it was a probably very uncharacteristic thing for her to do. She doesn't seem to be the type of person that allows people to get very close to her. So I think that this is all a little bit new to her. I think that she's been here. We found out when we first got to Alexandria, I think it was something like 6 months. That's a long time to sort of let your armor come down a little bit. So maybe she's just not quite the rough and tumble little kid that she was in the intro of this episode anymore.
You brought up Ron. We have to talk about Ron Douche.
That dude needs a haircut. Not as bad as Carl, but he needs a haircut.
Basically, was Ron prepared to die over the fact that Carl was stealing his girlfriend?
Why do you say that?
Well, he's being chased by a bad guy, and then Carl has to save his life, and Carl says to him, "Come in here, I'll protect you, I have an Uzi," and then he sees his girlfriend is in the house, and he's like, "No way, man, no, I'm fine out here on my own."
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that it's news that the kids on The Walking Dead suck. I don't think that that's exactly breaking news.
I mean, but Ron could say, "Boy, thank you, thank you, Carl." Because also it's also this odd relationship where Carl and Ron are also kind of stepbrothers, considering that Rick is dating Jesse.
Right. Well, kind of. Jesse doesn't seem to be really into it anymore, right? In the premiere, she's kind of like, "Rick, you can't come around here anymore."
Yeah, I felt like she's
steppish.
Yeah, she's still into it, but she's like, "You can't talk to my kids that way. You can't be talking about that sort of stuff."
Well, she did say to him, like, "He's my friend. Rick's my friend."
I didn't get the sense that she was totally out. I was thinking she's just laying down some ground rules with Rick.
We're on pause. We're on pause with Rick. It's not a hard stop.
Yeah. So Ron Douche is no fun. What do you think is going to be the impact of Ron Douche watching his mom just totally annihilate somebody in front of his eyes?
I don't know. I mean, one of his parents was a abusive mother effer, and he's dead now, and now his mom is a killer of people. I think that this is going to be a shock. I think that things in Ron's life have taken a turn pretty fast. Maybe he'll, decide like, I shouldn't mess with mom. I should stay for the hair appointment. Like maybe it'll give him some respect for mom at this point.
Maybe
that would be nice.
Yeah. Then just sticking with Carl, what was the significance of the egg timer going off at the end of the episode? Was there any reason why they had to highlight that again?
I think what that illustrated to me was how quickly that all went down. Carol puts the casserole in the oven and sets the timer and then just stares out the window and watches her neighbor who's smoking outside get, macheted in the face.
And then the episode should have been casserole.
Right, yes, exactly. So by the end of this thing, Carol and everybody, they've gone through this huge ordeal, and it was a really crazy breakneck pace, and it all takes place in the time that it takes to make a casserole. I think that that's sort of the point, like just how fast lives can be completely decimated and ruined. It's really not a long, drawn-out thing. It can happen, like that. So I thought that was cool. I liked that little touch at the end. I thought that was fun.
Did you feel like the egg timer is sort of also signifying that Carol's time as being the lady that makes casseroles is up?
No, I hope not. She seems to be a great cook. Why can't she be both a badass and a chef? I think that these are not mutually exclusive things. I think maybe what it might mean is that time is running out for Alexandria, and whether that's Alexandria permanently, that these people are just effed, they're totally screwed with the situation that's going on with the wolves at the door, with the zombies getting closer, it could be that, or it's Alexandria as these people knew it, certainly is toast. These people either need to get on board with a new regime, wake up to the reality of this world where things like this can happen, on a dime. They need to really start reacting to this new world order in a way that they'd been, basically playing cosplay and running away from for the past several, however long that they've been around. So I think that it's either a timer that's saying Alexandria is donezo or the old Alexandria is donezo. I think that that's what that signified, at least for me.
Speaking of Alexandria is donezo, I really felt like Deanna seemed like a shell, not a turtle shell, a shell of her former self, right? Yeah. I mean, she was like such a strong character. She was almost like our pseudo Janeway here in the Walking Dead universe, and now she's just sort of like cowering in the corner, where she's just like, I don't know what to do.
Right? Yeah.
Everybody, just leave me in here.
Yeah, well, in her defense, she lost one of her sons, and then her husband got katana sworded to the throat. That sucks. That's traumatic. And then, as she's just starting to kind of pull herself up by the bootstraps and she's ready to help Maggie dig the garden, she watches their guard get Molotov cocktailed. So I think I'd probably be a little rattled myself. And I thought that she was strong enough in the moment where she realized, like, I shouldn't go in there. I'm a liability. I should stay out here. The best thing I can do for everyone is just to stay the F out of the way. I thought that there was some self-awareness to that, but the moment that was really unsettling was when she's in the truck and the camera's focused on her face and just all of the noise is like rattling in her brain. That seems to be the sound of many screws loose to me. So I do think that we got to be a little worried about Deanna's headspace right now. It does not sound like a fun place to live.
If you're going to be locked in a tractor trailer with a dead walker, wouldn't you kick the walker out before you lock yourself in?
You'd think so, unless like you just want company. It's just like even a cold body will do. Yeah, I think that you'd probably want to get rid of it. It's gonna smell after a while. Yeah, it's gonna be a stinky ride in that truck.
Then let's also just talk about the emergence of a new character who looks to be featured prominently this season is Surgeon Denise. We mentioned her. What do you think of her emergence as the show's doctor?
Well, we needed a new doctor. We didn't really have anybody in the mix after Pete got killed, so we needed somebody. I like the idea of a character who doesn't know what the hell they're doing, especially someone who is in this really essential role. And during a really essential time when people are getting shot and stabbed and hurt in this big assault on Alexandria and your doctor can't pull it off, I think that that's an interesting character to have in the mix, and maybe that's going to be incentive for someone like Rick to say, like, okay, maybe we do need some people. We need to find somebody who's a little bit better than Dr. Denise. So yeah, Dr. Denise could use some work. I thought she was an interesting character. I think that she could be a fun foil for Eugene and Tara. I liked her in that dynamic. Those are some playful characters, and that could work pretty well. So I like Dr. Denise. Were you not a fan? Thumbs down on Dr. Denise?
I like her very much.
Yeah, you're a fan.
Yeah, I think she's a really good character. I love, she seems like a person that you would actually know in real life. I find her to be a very authentic character, and I enjoy seeing her thrust into this role that she does not feel like she is ready for.
Yeah, I like that she wanted to be a surgeon and then was so neurotic and anxious about it that she's like, I gotta be a therapist to understand why I'm so anxious all the time. So I like that she was like gonna be the anxious therapist. That makes me happy. As an anxious person myself, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and then Tara and Eugene are like her assistants in the operating room.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising. I mean, I guess for Eugene, it's like the best of two evils. He has to be in some sort of bloody situation. At least I'm in surgery, not getting shot at, is probably what he's thinking.
Okay, you want to jump into taking some questions, or is there anything else from the episode you want to talk through?
No, let's dive into it. And anything that we didn't hit, I'm sure we're gonna hit it here. Let's start with our Philly. Our Philly says.
Let me just also set up that our voicemail show is going to be, of course, at our midweek Walking Dead recap, which you guys can catch every week here on our podcast feed at postshowrecaps.com/TWD. iTunes. You can hear us answer your questions whatever we didn't cover tonight. Ask us on our voicemail show. Go to postshowrecaps.com/voicemail and leave us your questions. And then you could also leave us comments on the show page for this episode on postshowrecaps.com. All right, jump into the questions, Josh.
All right, this is from our Philly. I need an official ruling as to whether or not we refer to Ron as emo teenage douche going forward. That seems like a long douche.
Yeah.
It's a lot of douche. I could do teen douche, emo douche.
Yeah. I think
either one.
I prefer Ron douche.
Just Ron douche?
Yeah.
I
don't think we need to be overly descriptive. I think there's many teen douches, I believe, so I feel like Ron douche suffices for me.
There's a lot wrong with what has just been said. All right, this is from my man Rob's Taboo Buzzer. I'm shipping Eugene and the new town doctor lady. How about that? What do you think? Are we shipping Denise and Eugene? And what do we call them? What's their ship name?
Eunice?
Eunice? Eugis?
Yeah. I'm on board with it. I feel like Tara and Eugene is the couple I think everybody wants to see.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that she swings that way, so I don't think we're going to see that.
Okay.
But what do you think? Could we get we've got custodian Denise. She was going to be a therapist, and then she's kind of just faking being a doctor. And we had custodian Eugene as well, who was faking being a scientist, and he was just trying to survive. They've got so much in common.
Yeah, it is funny that she did mention I heard that story.
Yeah, that was good. I thought that was fun. I like that. All right.
Let's take this question. This is from Jason, who wants to know, so who else now is dying to know the story of Morgan and the cheesemaker?
Yeah, is that what he called the guy? Someone asks him, like, where'd you learn how to do that sweet stuff with the stick? And he's like, yeah, the cheesemaker? Is that what he said? Is that what you heard?
Chain maker?
The chain maker? I prefer the cheesemaker.
The cheesemaker is definitely a cooler nickname to give it.
Yeah, the cheesemaker, I mean, that could be Master Splinter. You know, the rats love their cheese. So maybe he did learn at the knee of Master Splinter. That'd be fun. No, we'll see. We'll see who the cheesemaker or the chain maker is, whatever you want to call that guy. I think that story's got to be coming up.
For the record, if we got an Enid backstory, we're going to get the Morgan backstory.
If not, then this show sucks. Just straight up. And this show doesn't suck straight up. So I think that we're going to get that.
Our Philly wants to know, are you guys going to officially plant your flags as to why the Wolves are dismembering everybody? Will we ever know why? Josh, do you have a theory?
I don't have a theory. I mean, I guess we saw the walkers that they put in that parking lot when they tried to get Daryl and Aaron in the season 5 finale, but those seem to be, and I'm just going off of memory, I think that they were fully formed. I don't know what they're planning on doing with that. Probably nothing good. I can't imagine it's going to be anything good. Do you have a good theory on this?
No, I think that they're just very cruel, and that's sort of like what they do is sort of just like they just go crazy on people. I don't think that there's like a real rhyme or reason as to why they do what they do.
Right, yeah, it's just kind of merciless.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. All right, what about this question from Natalie in Chicago? How the heck were the majority of the skilled fighters gone at the exact time the Wolves attacked? Good planning, luck, or a spy? Yeah. It's a great question. How did they pick this exact time for their raid?
Well, we know that our guys are out there trying to do this herd control. We're trying to get rid of the herd. We're trying to drive them far, far away from here. And that can't be coincidental. I mean, a lot of things on this show are serendipitous, not the least of which is the fact that Rick found his family in Atlanta completely, almost randomly, if not entirely randomly. So there definitely is an element of that at play on the show from time to time. That would seem very serendipitous to me that the Wolves just happen to show up on the exact moment where Rick and everybody is out of town. And it didn't seem like it was like a remarkably calculated thing either. It didn't seem like this was months and months and months of planning to raid Alexandria. We know exactly how we're going to do it. It felt to me like, oh man, all of these people are gone. This is it's a do or die time. If we're going to do this, let's do it now. So it felt to me very sudden, and it felt to me to be timed with the Rick mission. And whether or not that's because the Wolves have information on Alexandria thanks to Aaron's documents and they were able to stake it out and watch from a distance, or do they have some sort of mole inside of Alexandria? I'll be on mole patrol moving forward. You know me. That's what I like to watch. So we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. But I think that that would be really, really interesting, if that was just completely serendipitous timing. I don't think that that's what the show is doing right now. Do you think that this was just funny timing, or do you think that something's up?
I have to think that something is up. I feel like, I don't know if they just are like have been watching them for a while and waiting for their time to strike.
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably the most likely scenario, but ultimately, I don't know. How did they ultimately get in? They just went through the fence?
Yeah, they just climbed. They climbed and they rammed trucks into the fence and they Molotov cocktailed their way in and they just macheted their way through. I think enough tenacity, you're going to be able to get into that place.
Yeah.
It's not like it's,
Jerry Beefman? Yeah.
It's not exactly. I forgot that was her name.
Okay, Coach wants to know, Coach's Beard says, would you rather live in a wild and savage or would you rather live in the wild and savage or a community and defend it?
Can we live in a community in Andrew? Is that an option? I would rather live in a community and defend, because the days that I'm not defending, I'm in something more resembling air conditioning than the wild.
Yeah, I don't think you want to be out there living in the wild. You're eating a turtle in the wild. You're eating casserole in the community.
And like when it comes to any sort of like athletic competition in the first place, I'm usually on defense anyway. So it's the speed that I prefer. It's what I'm used to. I think community and defend is pretty easy. Pretty easy pick for me.
Okay. What about Fat Tyson?
Fat Tyson Apostle. Oh, he looks so silly. So it was Aaron's photos that led the Wolves to Alexandria and knowledge of the town layout. Should he admit to it? Yeah. What's the harm in him saying, guys, I screwed up. This is on me. This is what happened. I don't know what use it does for Aaron to sit on the information. It's not like they're going to banish Aaron over this, right?
No, but I think that you could start to see that shot down. If he wants to still go out and recruit people, I think that this will probably, be a point against that the next time that comes up with Rick Grimes.
Right. Well, you got to wonder how this is going to affect Aaron's view on recruiting, too. Is this going to bolster his drive to go out there and get more people because we need to defend ourselves, or is this going to rattle him a little bit? He already had a really harrowing experience the last time he went out recruiting, and this is what it's led to. Is he still going to be all about the recruitment drive, or is he going to look at this thing that just happened and be like, no, we got enough. Let's just keep our own at this point.
Yeah, they need to forget about this recruiting. Stop.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, let's do a couple more. Our Philly, after 6 seasons, are the viewers too jaded and callous to maintain their goodwill for Morgan if he tries to remain so righteous? I got to say, you know what? It did piss me off about Morgan when he saved Father Gabriel from dying.
Yeah, you should have just let that go. You're not buying into Father Gabriel's attempt to make things right? I kind of, I don't love Father Gabriel. No love lost between myself and Father Gabriel. But I wouldn't mind a few scenes of Carl showing Father Gabriel how to do a thing or two.
Yeah. I've got a good prop bet for you.
Let's hear
Who remains non-douchey the longest, Nick or Father Gabriel?
Ooh, that is a
Who
difficult
goes the longest
question.
before returning to their douchey ways?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question and really difficult. It could go either way. I guess I'll just say, I would say Father Gabriel. I don't know. It's really tough. Well, I'll just say Father Gabriel. Flip a coin. Flip a coin. One of those guys, they're gonna douche out again before long, and if they don't, they'll get their vases eaten off. One of those two things is inevitable, don't you think?
I agree. I think Father Gabriel is the longer holdout.
Yeah, I think so, because Nick is probably just gonna get eaten alive in like 2 seconds, right?
Eventually, he seems like a guy that when he's not making it to Christmas.
He's not making it to Christmas, and with these walkers in the woods right now, and everybody on the mission, like next week seems like it could be prime time for Nicholas to bite it. So that'd be good for me. I believe that I did draft him for my death draft.
I also feel like that guy's doing a lot of press right now, and I feel like he's like that's like the thing on Survivor when you're going out early and you're trying to like make the most of your time in the
yeah.
He's like the Jeff Varner of Walking Dead.
Right. Yeah, I did see his interview with Dalton Ross, so that's a good point too. Yeah, I like that.
He was on AfterBuzz. I think he was just like all over the place, that guy.
Yeah.
All right, let's do one or two more. What do you got from Coach's Beard?
Coach's Beard said, "But the Wolves have joined Alexandria if they were recruited."
Yeah, what if they just asked them to be a part of it?
I don't know that they'd fit in. They don't seem exactly to be our clientele. I think that we would turn them away at the gate, so I don't think that's any good.
Okay,
here's one last one from Cabin Douche. Why no black and white tonight? I think that the black and white was a done and one.
I think it's one and done.
That was cool. I loved it. It was awesome. I think that it really served a purpose in an episode that told a disjointed story timeline-wise. This was a straightforward story timeline-wise, so we didn't need the black and white.
Yeah,
but it was cool last week.
Could you bookend like the season 6 finale if you were going to do it again?
Oh, that'd be nice. I'm down with that.
All right, there you go. All right.
Thumbs up.
So Josh and I will be back midweek for our Walking Dead feedback show. You can catch that by subscribing to our podcast at postshowrecaps.com/TWD iTunes. Leave us your voicemail at postshowrecaps.com/voicemail.
Yes,
what's
please
the
do
hashtag?
It's so much fun. It's the feedback show is the best. It's great.
It is. What's the hashtag tonight?
Turtle sushi.
Sushi. Okay.
I like that.
Sounds good. Also, we've got so much more that we're working on right now. Josh, tell us about some of the other shows that you're recapping on postshowrecaps.com.
It's a hot season on Post Show Recaps right now. We're doing the Leftovers podcast with Antonio Mazzaro and myself. We're doing Fargo with Antonio and I, plus Jeremiah Panhorse. We have Most Shows Recapped, where we're recapping the most shows possible every Friday with Rob, myself, and Antonio. And last week, we launched an awesome podcast. If you've been missing Stephen Fishback on the Know-It-Alls, you're not going to miss him here on Post Show Recaps. He is recapping American Horror Story with me on Post Show Recaps, so go seek that out. Really fun talking to Fishback. No Survivor talk on there whatsoever. Really good podcast. I had a really good time with Stephen. We're going to be doing that every week. So lots going on. Mike Bloom and Kurt Clark doing Once Upon a Time. You've got Seinfeld. Lots of things rolling here at Post Show Recaps.
All right, great stuff. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks to Alex Kidwell, who was pulling those questions for us behind the scenes tonight. Have a great one. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say in the comments on postshowrecaps.com, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.